Hi everyone, I'm Lorraine from Simply English Edinburgh. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to discuss with you 5 podcasts which I highly recommend for improving your English. These are podcasts which I have either previously listened to myself or I'm currently enjoying at the moment, and I recommend them because of the range of topics under discussion, because of the engaging manner of the presenters, the people who are being interviewed, the accents which you can hear when listening to these podcasts, and of course the vocabulary which is going to help you improving your English along the way. So I personally listen to these on Amazon Music, but most of these podcasts are available on other platforms as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So my first recommendation, and it is my absolute favourite podcast ever, is called The Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. He is the presenter, and okay, disclaimer here, I am an absolute fangirl of Stephen. He is just an amazing guy. He is, I think, 27 or 28 years old, but he is a self-made millionaire. He became a multi-millionaire at the age of 25 through businesses which he set up from his bedroom in Manchester. He had dropped out of uni. He is extremely inspirational. He has a really interesting background and life story. I actually also have his book here. I will drop a link for that in the description below if you're interested. But he's obviously an extremely interesting and engaging, successful young man. And in this podcast, he is interviewing other CEOs, other business owners and directors. And what I love is that this is not just focused on, okay, you did really well in business, so tell me what is your key to success. No, it is very personable. It is about the life and the background of these people, and the range is awesome. He is interviewing everyone from, the inventor of various platforms that we use online, like Klarna for making payments, the director of Deliveroo, Ann Summers, so many businesses, ex-football players like Rio Ferdinand who have set up their own businesses, singers and current performers. Liam Payne is on there, former One Direction member. That is actually a really interesting episode. Patricia Bright, who, those of you who know me, I love her. She's an influencer, so there's fantastic range, and like I said, all kinds of topics discussed about their background. I mean, everything from, education, cultural background, childhood trauma and abuse, discrimination, like various hurdles that these people needed to overcome in order to open their businesses, and it's amazing. It's so good. Have a listen. I'm sure you'll love it. The only thing I would say, perhaps, if I had to find fault with this podcast, is that the episodes are very long. For me personally, I love that because it goes very in depth into these people's lives, but it can be very daunting to start listening to an episode which is an hour and 45 minutes. So definitely break it up into little chunks, listen bit by bit, and I think you will love it. So definitely that is my first recommendation. Next up is the Food Medic podcast. The Food Medic is, of course, Dr. Hazel Wallace, who is also a personal trainer, nutritionist and author. So an absolutely fantastic business lady, and I love her podcast and recommend it highly to my students because basically she is interviewing experts in their field, so nutritionists, gynecologists, personal trainers, people are speaking about mental health or mental health professionals, psychologists, and the topics which they cover are topics which for you guys as language learners are quite commonly coming up in the IELTS exam, in the advanced and proficiency as well. So if you're looking to improve your vocabulary in the kind of health area, this is a fantastic podcast for you to listen to. All of her material is very evidence-based, which I love. There is so much like scientific evidence to back up everything which is being discussed in these podcasts. And of course, she has a fabulous Irish accent, just like myself, which I think you'll appreciate. So yeah, the Food Medic podcast, love it. Love Hazel as well. She's absolutely excellent, and yeah, I think it's quite an easy listen, considering that some of the topics under discussion are obviously very heavy in terms of like science and things like that, but definitely check it out. Okay, so the next one's a little bit different. It is a comedy podcast, and many of my students have told me previously that comedy is something which they would really love to enjoy more of, but find it difficult because of playing with words and things like that. So this comedy podcast is a little bit more straightforward. It is called I'm a Feminist, but and it is hosted by Deborah Frances-White. It is brilliant because basically she and her guests discuss various topics which are of interest to feminists, but with a kind of comic twist, because we've added the human element that, you know, we all have these amazing principles and morals and ideas, but at the end of the day we're just mere humans and we make mistakes. So things the guests say, like to start off the podcast, would be I think one of them was like, I'm a feminist, but once I went to a protest and I wore such high heels that I had to go to the bathroom, put plasters on my blisters, change my shoes, and when I came out the protest had gone and I missed everything. So again, it's this idea of like, you know, we want to be involved in protests and things like that, and yet we do something so silly as wearing high heels, which would be maybe not the most feminist thing to do. So yeah, really love this podcast. Again, so many different people being interviewed, loads of different accents, and if you are in Edinburgh, Deborah herself is a regular at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, so if you do enjoy this podcast, then hopefully from 2022 onwards, when the Fringe is back in all of its glory, you will be able to see her live with some of her guests. So yes, great comedy, fantastic morals behind the stories, and really interesting guests, and that is why I recommend The Guilty Feminist. So those of you who have been subscribed to my channel for a while, or who follow me on Instagram, or who know me of course in person, will know that I am a huge sports fanatic, and therefore I have to add a sports podcast into the list, and I'm recommending The Overlap with Gary Neville, former Manchester United defender. I am not a Manchester United fan, by the way, but he does interview a wide variety of sports stars, from of course football players, boxers, people involved in MMA, various different activities, and I particularly love the episode with Roy Keane. I'm definitely a big Roy Keane fan, not just because he's Irish. I just find him absolutely hilarious. I think he's a brilliant pundit as well. And yeah, I think if you're interested in sport, this is a really great podcast, going in depth again with sports stars about, you know, what motivated them, their background, their careers, etc. So this is one for the sports fans. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. And my final recommendation today is a podcast called Not Overthinking with Ali and his brother Taimur Abdal. I have 100% recommended Ali Abdal on this channel previously. He has like millions, I think maybe 2.5 or more million YouTube subscribers. He is just a fantastic entrepreneur, productivity guru. But this is really interesting because in this podcast, he is co-hosting with his brother. And yeah, there's obviously excellent sibling banter, so it's very relaxed. Could you imagine hosting a podcast with your brother or sister? I think I could. I think it would be fun, and there's a lot of obviously chemistry between the two of them as they discuss basically how we can live better and more fulfilling lives, and discussing various social issues as well. I would say that they kind of speak quite quickly, so that is something to be aware of. I think as well, because they are brothers, there's just so much over and back between the two of them that sometimes it can be a little bit maybe more challenging to follow compared to the other recommendations today. But if you are looking for something insightful and interesting, and a little bit fun as well, then definitely check that one out. I think if you've reached this part and you've watched the whole video, you can tell that my personal favourite is of course the Diary of a CEO, because I spoke for so long about it, perhaps compared to the other podcasts. But definitely all of them have their merits, and it depends on your own personal interests, and that is something I would say when you are listening to improve your English. Start off by listening to topics which you are interested in yourself, and that will encourage you and motivate you to listen and engage with the material, because I think if you're trying to force yourself to listen to something that maybe isn't your thing, and you're finding really boring, then it's just not going to help you in any way, shape or form. So definitely find something that you're interested in, and really engage with it. And yeah, that would be my recommendation. Check these out. And if you have any other recommendations that you people or podcasts who you have listened to and found that really helped you to improve your English, of course, leave me a comment below. So as always, thank you so much for watching and supporting this channel. Please like, subscribe and share with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.